Originally the capital and largest city of the Punjab region, it has since its creation changed hands from Jain, Hindu, Buddhist, Greek, Muslim, Mughal, Afghan, Sikh and the British, thereby becoming the cultural capital and the heart of modern-day Pakistan. According to oral traditions, Lahore was named after Layyah, son of the Hindu god Rama, who supposedly founded the city. Ptolemy, the celebrated astronomer and geographer, mentions in his Geographia a city called La Bokhla, situated on the route between the Indus River in a region described as extending along the rivers Bidast or Vitasta, Jhelum, Sindabal or Chandrabhaga, Chenab, and Adris or Iravati, Ravi. Hayu Sang, the Chinese traveler, who visited the Punjab in 630 AD, speaks of a large city, containing many thousands of families, chiefly Brahmins, situated on the eastern frontier of the kingdom of Chaa, which he says, extended from the Indus to the Bias River. Many historians agree that Lahore was founded by an ancient Hindu colony sometime between the 1st and 7th centuries, probably as early as the beginning of the 2nd, that it soon rose to be a place of importance, the parent of other colonies, and eventually the capital of a powerful principality, to which it gave its name. There are some grounds supporting that the old Hindu city of Lahore did not occupy exactly the site of the modern city. Tradition points the site of Old Lahore to the vicinity of Ichra, which is now a part of Lahore city, but was back then a village about 3 miles to the west. The gate of the present city, known as the Lahore or Lohari Gate, was so called as being the gateway looking in the direction of Lohawar or Old Lahore, just as the Kashmiri Gate looks towards Kashmir, and the Delhi Gate of modern Delhi to the ancient city of that name. There are no architectural remains of the old Hindu city of Lahore, a circumstance which might well be explained by the absence of stone material, and the numerous destructive invasions to which the city has been subjected. A war ensued, and in the space 70 battles were fought with varied success, until the Afghans, having formed an alliance with the Ghakkars, a wild tribe inhabiting the salt range of Punjab, compelled the Raja to cede a portion of his territory. The invader did not retain the conquests that he had made, for in 1008 AD, a confederation headed by Anandapala, the son of Raja Jayapura, again met the advancing army, now commanded by Muhammad, son and successor of Sebuktagan, in the vicinity of Peshawar. In 1021, Muhammad appointed Malik Yars to the throne and made Lahore the capital of the Ghaznavid Empire. The Sultan Muhammad Ghaznavi took Lahore after a long siege and battle in which the city was torched and depopulated. As the first Muslim ruler of Lahore, Ayaz rebuilt and repopulated the city. The Mongol army advanced, and in 1241, the ancient city of Lahore was invaded by 30,000-man cavalry. In 1298, 2 lakh men Mongol army conquered Punjab and committed atrocities, then marched towards Delhi but was defeated by Malik Kafur, general of Sultan Alauddin Khalji, ruler of the Delhi Sultanate. Subsequently, Aulat Khan, the governor of Punjab, and Alam Khan, his uncle, sent an invitation to Babur, the ruler of Kabul, to invade Delhi. The First Battle of Panipat, April 1526, was fought between the forces of Babur and the Delhi Sultanate. Lahore reached a peak of architectural glory during the rule of the Mughals, whose buildings and gardens survived the hazards of time. Lahore grew under Emperor Babur, from 1584 to 1598, under the emperors Akbar the Great and Jahangir. The city served as the empire's capital. Lahore reached the peak of its architectural glory during the rule of the Mughals, many of whose buildings and gardens have survived the ravages of time. A few buildings within the fort were added by Akbar's son, Mughal Emperor Jahangir, who is buried in the city. He, like his father, extended the Lahore fort and built many other structures in the city, including the Shalimar Gardens. The last of the great Mughals, Aurangzeb, who ruled from 1658 to 1707, built the city's most famous monuments, the Badshahi Masjid and the Alamgari Gate next to the Lahore fort. During the 18th century, as Mughal power dwindled, Lahore was often invaded, and government authority was lacking. the Delhi Sultanate and later Mughal Empire ruled the region. The 1740s were years of chaos, and the city had 9 different governors between 1745 and 1756. Shortly after defeating the Afghans in the Battle of Delhi, the Marathas entered Lahore in 1758. In March 1758, about 50,000 soldiers of the Maratha Empire laid siege to Sirhind, with usual alliance with Khalsa and Mughal commander Khan Adina Beg. At that time, the Afghan general Jahan Khan, along with Abd Ali's son Temur Shah, had 25,000 troops with him. Lack of local government and no head or ruler in the Punjab allowed Sikh Misls to gain effective control of their respective areas. In the end of 1798, the high gentry of Lahore, comprising all 3 religions, made a combined and effective petition before Ranjit Singh, the chief of Sikh Misl, to invade and take control of the Lahore province, which he successfully did with the help of his mother-in-law, Sadaqah Jain Misl. During the 18th century, as Mughal power dwindled, Lahore was often invaded by Afghan armies and became a province of the Afghan Empire, governed by provincial rulers with their own court. The 1740s were years of chaos, and the city had 9 different governors between 1745 and 1756. In 1799, all Sikh Misls, warring bands, joined into one to form a sovereign Sikh state ruled by Maharaja Ranjit Singh from the royal capital, Lahore. During the 1740s, frequent invasions by Afghans led by Ahmad Shah Abd Ali and has created chaos in local government had made life very uncomfortable for the citizens of Lahore. Bhangi Misl was the first Sikh band to invade and plunder the Mughal Lahore. Out of the chaos of Afghan and Sikh conflicts, Ranjit Singh was able to unify the Sikh factions and capture Lahore, where he was crowned emperor. Ranjit Singh's death on the 27th of June 1839 ultimately ended his reign, while the Sikh rule continued until the British gained control of the empire in 1849. In a major battle near the town of Balarkot in 1831, Saeed Ahmad and Shah Ismail Shahid with volunteer Muslims were defeated and martyred by the professional Sikh army. In 1841, during the Sikh Civil War, Ranjit Singh's son, Sher Singh, used the Badshahi Mosque's large minarets for placement of zamburas or light guns, which were placed atop the minarets of Badshahi Mosque to bombard the supporters of the Sikh Maharani Chand Kaur taking refuge in the besieged Lahore fort, inflicting great damage to the fort itself. Maharaja Ranjit Singh made Lahore his capital and was able to expand the kingdom to the Khyber Pass and also included Jammu and Kashmir, while keeping the British from expanding across the river Satluj for more than 40 years. After his death in 1839, the internecine fighting between the Sikhs and several rapid forfeitures of territory by his sons, along with the intrigues of the Dogras and 2 Anglo-Sikh wars, eventually led to British control of the Lahore Darbar 10 years later. In March 1848, following the British victory, Dalip Singh, Ranjit Singh's teenage son and heir to the throne, was formally deposed in Lahore. Under British rule, 1849 to 1947, colonial architecture in Lahore combined Mughal, Gothic and Victorian styles. After the independence of Pakistan in 1947, the minority Hindus and Sikhs migrated to India while the Muslim refugees from India settled in the Lahore district. The Punjab government embarked on a major project in 2009 to restore the Royal Trail, Shahi Guzargah, from Akbari Gate to the Lahore Fort with the help of the World Bank under the Sustainable Development of the Walled City of Lahore (STWCL) project. The old city existed for at least 1,000 years, developed in and around Circular Road,